Inconsistency. That's the particular word I used in my last episode to state my problem when it comes to content creation. And I vividly remember me standing by the side of my door, recording, stating that I apologize for being so inconsistent, and where I promised that my inconsistency was going to stop, and where I'm going to record and at least drop an episode for a while or for at least like 2 weeks. I remember saying that. I remember stating that to myself. I remember writing that in my notes app. Well, before we go deep into today's episode, hi guys, it's Isaac here again, and you're welcome back to A Moment in Isaac's Head. This particular episode is going to take quite a turn because for the first time, I have no topic. For the first time, I'm actually going to let you into my head to understand my thoughts. Previous episodes have involved myself projecting my thoughts into other people's minds, and then where I read out or I interview other people and I, add their recordings into the episode, into the particular podcast episode. But this time, I think I want to rant, and I hope you would relate to this. Okay, so let's get this over with. So I'm right here sleeping on my bed on the night of the 6th of December 2024. I just became 22 few days ago. And I know they say that hustle in your 20s, but at least try to take life easy. But nobody tells you how depressing it is for you to see your mates at a young age, getting shit done, and you're clueless. You're just there, so to say. Now at the same time, you're fighting depression, issues from home, relationship problems, trying to get your money up, and trying to figure out who you are exactly. Sometimes when you try to talk to your parents about stuff like this, they start to question you that, don't you know who you are? You're a child of God, you're this, you're that. But I think the way we have evolved personally has made us to question things that used to exist during our parents' lifetime. We have been taught before that once we choose a particular niche to go in, we continue to move in that niche, try to be successful in it. Don't care about your personality checks, don't care about what you're capable of doing, just pick a particular niche. And as a Nigerian student or a Nigerian kid, there are just three aspects you can go into. You're either sciences, arts and humanities, commercial. Most people wanted to be in sciences because of peer pressure and because they wanted their parents to be proud of them. Those in arts and humanities, well, they would go for stuff like law. And those in commercial, they probably wanted to be different from those in humanities. Weird, isn't it? But then the older we got, the more we started to realize that we didn't do this for ourselves, that we had gifts, we had things inside of us that go way beyond these three fixed societal class. To be honest, it's weird. It's weird when you get into this particular part of your life or this particular class in which you have been fixed into, and you grow older, you start to realize that, like, why the fuck am I here? Why in the fuck did I choose this? And then you start to wish you could go back, but you can't. You just have to keep going. And then you start figuring out who you are whilst trying to be that model child that your parents wanted, which is double the work. I don't know if this is a personal thing, and I don't know if you're thinking about this like I am too, but why in the fuck do we exist? Why in the fuck do we start to doubt ourselves? I don't know if I'm going to do another episode where I'm going to question people on why do we doubt ourselves. But tonight, I started thinking about how I've been coming since I was a child. I never doubted myself, never doubted my abilities. I mean, I was book smart. I was quite talented and gifted, though I couldn't draw. I wasn't really like, I wasn't fashionable because fashion was never my thing. But I was quite eloquent. I could speak, I could write. And then the more I grew older, I started realizing that, like, most of these things I had when I was a kid, I was so content with them. I was so happy with them. And the more I grew up, the more I started to understand myself, started to understand my gifts, started to understand my talents and the things I was born with. It became more overwhelming. I can't remember the last time I picked up my phone to record a podcast. I think I remember that early this year, I was listening to a podcast in which Salem King was speaking. And I wrote inside my notes app, which I'm looking at currently, that Isaac, you're going to record a lot of podcasts. You should use yourself, put yourself out there more. Use what you have, use your talent. But look at me right now. Today is the 6th of December, and this is like, so I started to wonder, why are we here? Why why does self-doubt come in? Why does it feel like everything isn't enough? Why does it feel like life is just life is moving and then we're stagnant? You know, it's hard to be like it's hard to be a young adult. Now, couple that with being a Nigerian. Crazy, isn't it? Of course. So maybe tonight isn't a particular episode. Maybe tonight is really what's in Isaac's head and you're living in that moment. Maybe tonight is me thinking about someone I'm in love with who hasn't picked up my calls or returned any of my texts and then made me just go into full God mode and say, you know what, you should record something that you're thinking about and let other people like relate to it, if that makes sense. Or maybe because my phone was low and I was charging it with my power bank until they restored the power. Or maybe because my data finished not quite long and I wasn't able to scroll on TikTok, which I used to hate at a particular point. You know, now that I think about it, I'm wondering, why do we think about who we are? Why do we think about our existence? If I were with my guys, I wouldn't question why. I wouldn't question all of that. But then the point is, Why do we become old just to start to question who we are, start to question our existence? I mean, some people find it easy to cope with, and some don't. The major concern is why. Maybe I'll find an answer to that when I do an episode where other people are going to have answers to this. But till then, I want you to have it at the back of your mind that you're listening to this. Why? Why do we question our existence? Is it a constant thing? Or maybe you're just like me that you question your existence when something sad happens to you. And when you're happy. And when you're uninterested, you're uninterested. And when life kicks you in the balls, you start to question why you exist. You start to question your abilities. Or maybe you just want life to be static. You're tired. You don't want to quit, but you're tired. You just don't want to give in any more energy. I don't know if I'm speaking your mind, but welcome to Moment in My Head, where everything is scattered, but it still makes sense. Well, we've come to the end of today's particular episode. I know it wouldn't make sense to you, but it does make sense to me. To see you next time on the Moment in Isaac's Head. Have a good night, guys. Bye.